Tonight on Joy News Prime, state-owned enterprises incur a loss of over 2.6 billion Ghana cedis in 2020. But the Minister for Public Enterprises says he will continue to advocate fat salaries for CEOs so long as they perform and meet the expectations.
You are talking to the wrong person on salaries when it is fat. I openly declare anywhere I am a lover of fat salary.
Traders are the new Kejetia market in Nkrumah resist management lockup of their shops over non-payment of premiums for the past 3 years.
We have told them yesterday that
We'll bring you details, but why is the CPP bent on organizing what they call a befitting funeral for Dr. Nkrumah 50 years after his death?
Diaspora on the African continent would organize a befitting funeral. The conventions.
We'll bring you details here on Joy News Prime at 8 p.m. I'll hand over to Beryl for the latest Beverly in business.
So Ghana is set to launch a biggest trade fair center to promote and expand local businesses.
Soon, but that will be here in Accra, and that is going to be a much bigger fair, which will include every sector in terms of what we have been able to do.
Beverly has details at 8 p.m. and at 8:30 p.m. Morocco has the latest in sports.
Well, after Ghana's failure to book a ticket to the Rugby Men's 7 World Cup, captain of the team, Selom Gavo, wants government and corporate Ghana to invest more in the sport.
Look, I think you can't go forward without the right tools. You can't build a house if you don't have the correct bricks, the correct cement, you don't have the money to put into that. So we need help from whether it's government, whether it's private people.
Details of these and more here on Joy News Prime. We are live on DSTV, channel 421, GoTV, it's 144. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube and the MindJoy online app. I'm Ernest Manu. Please stay for details.
Joy News Prime.
Many thanks for choosing us. We're a home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Now, state-owned enterprises posted a loss of over 2.6 billion Ghana cedis in 2020 alone. Despite the juicy salaries and working conditions for the chief executives, well, that according to the state-owned state ownership report. But despite the poor picture, the Minister for Public Enterprises, Joseph Kujo, says he will continue to advocate for fat salaries for CEOs so long as they perform and meet the expectations. He spoke at the Information Ministry today.
Fat salaries. Maybe you are talking to the wrong person on salaries when it is fat. I openly declare anywhere that I am an advocate for good salaries. And if this is bad, tell me this is bad. I am an advocate for good salaries. Good salary because I have said this. I know foreign companies even come here. And when they are paying good salaries, Ghanaian personnel managers, HR, advice not to pay good salaries. The difference between a country becoming wealthy is for people to be paid good salaries. That is all. Because it is when they can cater for their needs and also save in the financial system, then deposits build up in the financial system to enable the financial system give loans to businesses and individuals who need them. So if somebody is taking fast salary, my issue is always whether the person is giving an output that reflects the salary. That is all. If the person is performing and taking good salary, I clap for the person. If the person is not performing and not taking that good salary, you exact performance from the person, because you are paying the person. So I am a lover of fat salaries.
Well, he also rejected suggestions that non-performing CEOs must be sacked, arguing they may not be entirely responsible for the losses recorded.
The issue is that when ECG sets a tariff that is cost reflective and incorporate margin, next month they will make profit. And if we will cry and not agree to that tariff, and ECG is reporting losses, should we cry? It is the same for Ghana Water. Just adjust the water tariff to reflect the cost and give them a profit margin. Any company, I'm holding a phone. The company looks at all cost of production and puts a margin on it, and that determines its selling price. But the state entities don't have that window. So a lot of them, you see CEOs in place reporting losses because we are not willing to pay the right selling price. Because to report profit means that revenue should be generated, costs should be paid, interest, taxes, salaries, utilities, every cost should be paid for, and then you report a profit. So their reporting of profit depends on us, not on the manager you want to fire. Because the manager may be technically competent, professionally savvy, and everything, but right pricing or wrong pricing is what will determine the profitability.
So that's the minister in charge of state-owned enterprises. So how much are we really spending on salaries and emoluments of the CEOs and also staff of these state-owned enterprises? Kejetia of our research desk joins me in the studio. He has all the figures. Kofi, how much are we spending?
Right, Ernest, so let's start from the staff cost of SOEs, about 47 of them in billion Ghana cedis. So in 2019, it was pegged at 3.38 billion Ghana cedis.
Okay.
And there we have it in 2020, 4.71 billion cedis, representing a more than 39% increase in just a year, Ernest. So if you should move to the next slide, you see, how do you call it? The share. So let's look at the weight of the energy and agriculture sector on this staff cost that we are talking about.
Okay.
So if you should group them, you realize that in the orange section, we have the energy and agri sector accounting for more than 70% of the staff cost, and others accounting for close to 30% of the staff cost that we are talking about. So there's a lot of weight that the energy and the agri sector, they carry when it comes to the staff cost of these SOEs that we are talking about. And so if we should also break this down, it says that the agri sector led by Cocoa Board. If you look at Cocoa Board's, how do you call it? Their cost is around over 1 billion.
Yes.
Okay. And then you have the cocoa marketing company also somewhere close to more than 155 million Ghana cedis, registered the highest percentage increase in staff cost of more than 61% in the year under review. Now, if you should break this down, it means that the agri sector has actually increased their staff cost from 769.5 million cedis in 2019 to over 1.24 billion cedis in 2020, Ernest. Now, the next slide talks about ECG, the breakdown, another breakdown. We're talking about the energy sector.
Okay.
It also increased its staff cost by more than 57%. Now, so let's break this down. ECG, in 2020, their staff cost was around 595 million cedis, VRA 412 million cedis, and Gradeco 332 million.
So this is how much they spent in paying staff.
Exactly, staff cost.
As far as the year 2020 is concerned.
Now, cumulatively, they make up more than 65% of the staff cost that we are talking about here in the energy sector.
Okay.
Ernest. So this is what the 2020 state-owned enterprise report puts out when it comes to the staff cost that we are talking about.
So the energy and the agri sectors constitute a huge chunk of how much we're spending.
More than 70%.
More than 70% of how much we're spending on staff. So that's it there for you. We're spending a lot on these SOEs, but the minister says as long as they perform and they meet their targets, well, why not? They should be paid well. Let's do some other stories here on Johnny's Prime. The Civil and Local Government Staff Association of CLOGSAG says they will not call off their strike unless government presents a payment plan to them. The Executive Secretary of CLOGSAG, Dr. Isaac Bampuado, was speaking exclusively to Joy News before a negotiation meeting at the National Labour Commission. Remember, they're on strike over the delay in payment of their neutrality allowance.
Yes, sir. So you've been on strike for some days now. We know you are just about entering the negotiation room and to settle on the table to discuss the way forward. What is it that you're taking to the table?
Well, in the first place, we are not negotiating. Okay. We finish negotiation and we are going for NLC because they directed the Ministry of Finance to come up with a payment plan. So we are going up to see whether Finance has complied with the directive for the National Labour Commission.
So your expectation is to see what the government has for you, not you taking anything there again?
Our expectation is to see the directive for National Labour Commission being complied with. And that's Finance to come out with a payment plan for our allowance. Thank you.
But in your letter, you said there was an MOU you agreed to.
Yeah, we've signed those MOUs already. Yeah. We finished negotiation. We've signed.
What's the detail of this MOU?
It's the detail of the MOU, that's our allowance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the allowance is what is entailed in this MOU?
Exactly.
Nothing more, nothing less?
Yeah. So that's what we want per the agreement we've signed.
You've heard a lot of people say, well, neutrality allowance.
Well, discussions are made at the negotiating table and we finish our discussions. So for us, we're okay.
So if you go to the table today and there's no payment plan, what is next?
The strike is still on.
So if there's a payment plan, then that's it?
Then we'll present it to the National Executive Council for them to see whether they're happy with it on the call of the strike. Thank you.
After the meeting today, we understand that the parties have given themselves up to Friday to decide on the way forward. Dr. Isaac Bampuado says they are waiting for their payment schedule on Friday, the payment schedule on Friday, and anything short of that will see them continue with their strike. We'll be following up on this and bring you more in our subsequent bulletins here on Joy News. Away from that, the Ministry for Gender, Children and Social Protection has asked beneficiaries of the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program, LEAP, to consider investing their monthly stipends into commercial activities. Acting Sector Minister Cecilia Abnadapa believes persons captured under LEAP can only win themselves off poverty through sustainable incomes. She spoke at a meeting with some beneficiaries in Kumasi. That's one of the following report.
Ghana's Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program provides cash transfers to very poor people. This includes households with orphans or vulnerable children, the elderly, and people with extreme disabilities. Cash transfers received by caregivers on behalf of target groups ceased for about 4 months, negatively affecting lives of beneficiaries. Acting Minister Cecilia Abnadapa believes venturing into entrepreneurship with the cash transfers can improve the economic fortunes of the families.
You can see when you receive a lump sum like that, you can do so many things with the money. That's why I was explaining to them that the outstanding issues of health, provision for children, if you are looking after orphans, and then the vulnerable and the aged, they should make sure the money is wisely used, meaning it shouldn't be spent on other frivolous items, but the needed items for which the LEAP was introduced. You know, it's for people who are poor, who are vulnerable, to let them receive some stipend to be able to undertake petty trading and other allied businesses, so that they can take off the orphans or the aged or the sick or themselves.
The Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection has paid 2 out of the 4-month arrears owed the beneficiaries. The beneficiaries expressed excitement at the amount received.
The radius certain me at a bank, the Busumi, so this can a boy. The other or more be bass or more the year at the Maya come up, be to ye. Yadamuas, Yamin Shiramu.
na adwuma no nya nkɔ so obiara nya bi wo say say mo ababuaye sanya mo a na me kan say bia anka na me nidi mo ba ye medidi nti nyankopon hyira mo na wo biara nya bi.
We stay in Kumasi because some traders at the new market in Kejetia are resisting management lockup of their shops over non-payment of premiums for the past 3 years. Some of the traders showed up to work Wednesday morning only to find their stalls locked. They intend forcefully unlock the stalls. Managers of the facility say an agreement was reached between traders to pay their shop premiums in a year, but most of them have failed to do so. Nana Ewuku has more in the following report.
Traders at Kejetia pay between 25,000 cedis and 40,000 cedis per annum as premium. They are expected to pay a total of 169 million cedis as premium to the government, but less than 90 million cedis has been received despite an agreement to pay within a year. Management needs to access 20% of the amount for the maintenance of the Kejetia market.
Management is entitled to 20%.
Manager of the Kumasi City Markets Limited, Kofi Dufo Ade, says the lockup shops is to compel the traders to honor payment.
And see, some have also rented out these shops. They've rented these shops out and they've collected huge sums of money. And they are not, assuming you've rented a shop out and taking, you are supposed to pay, let's say, 47,000 to the company. That is to the state through the company. And you've rented it out for 80,000, 90,000, 100,000. What prevents you from paying the company's component of it, of the 47,000 to the company? So it is in the midst of locking the shop, then you will know what comes out of it.
Leadership of the traders has, however, raised issues of compensation. According to them, the government promised to compensate traders whose shops were destroyed to pave the way for the market reconstruction. Despite the agreement, the government has failed to pay the over 2,000 shop owners, hence their decision to default payment of the premium. President of Federation of Kumasi Traders, Nana Prempe, says the traders had to unlock the shops because they deemed the lockup as unlawful.
We had told them yesterday that they shouldn't embark on that exercise because if they embark it on that way, it will be chaotic. Look, they did it. We have allocations to the shop. So invariably, we are the owners of the shop. So if I come and my shop is locked, I have the right to unlock it. Since nobody is telling me he or she came to lock it.
Traders relocated from the Kumasi Central Market to the new Kejetia Market are also reluctant to pay because they are unclear of plans to return to their former trading spaces when the second phase of the redevelopment project is completed.
Some have even committed in paying. What they were told is that they should make some commitment in terms of the payment so that when they are relocating back to the phase 2, when it is completed, they will not have the tax of what? Going to look for finances to come and pay it again. So to them, if I'm paying for something that have not been, the construction have not been completed, how then do you force me or how then do you come and lock up my shop?
But management of the facility entreats the traders to pay the premium while government works on the compensation.
Even though the loan was signed under the previous government, the current government is continuing the work of it. People must understand that they will need to pay for it. Otherwise, it becomes a burden for you and I.
Nana Uku's report read to you.
Exactly 50 years ago, Ghana's first president, Dr. Nkrumah, died in Romania. He was buried in Nkrumah in the western region, and later his remains were transferred to the Nkrumah Mausoleum. While his political party, the Convention People's Party, say he was not given a befitting funeral, so they will organize one for him 50 years on. There's more in the following report.
On 24th February 1966, Dr. Nkrumah was overthrown by military rule and he lived in exile in Guinea and subsequently died in Romania on 27th April 1972. His body was brought home and now buried at the Nkrumah Mausoleum in Accra. 50 years after his death, the Convention People's Party says that the former president did not receive a befitting funeral and therefore will organize one. The General Secretary of the party, Nana Jantua, was addressing the media at the Nkrumah Mausoleum to commemorate 50 years of his demise.
Today, as we celebrate 50 years of Osagyefo Dr. Nkrumah's death, we also remember his dark days in exile in Guinea, the cold and lonely nights on his hospital bed in Bucharest, Romania. God only knows what was going on through his mind. Perhaps his wonder was, am I going to get a befitting burial when the Lord calls me? A befitting burial he did not get. A restless soul which needs to rest is the bane of Osagyefo Dr. Nkrumah. It is on this premise that the Convention's People's Party and like-minded people in the diaspora and the African continent would organize a befitting funeral for Osagyefo Dr. Nkrumah, the first president of the Republic of Ghana and the doyen of Pan-Africanist movement in the world. Yes, a man with an indelible legacy who was misunderstood during his time. This event will take place in November 2022, and in no time, the Convention's People's Party will bring out the timetable of activities that will culminate into the actual funeral and also inaugurate a funeral committee in due course.
The party has also called on the government to return its assets, which were seized during Nkrumah's overthrow in 1966, since they were acquired from the contributions by members of the CPP and not the state.
On this occasion, we want to reiterate our request for the return of our assets of the CPP as a move to deepen comradeship and promote reparation. Your Excellency, it will be worthwhile to return to us the Information Ministry building and the Ghana Fire Service headquarters, among many others. Your Excellency, we hope you will oblige us this request. Let us all at the CPP imbibe the tenets of democracy, rule of law, freedom and justice, while resisting the rule of the oppressor.
Chairman of the Disciplinary Committee of the CPP, Bright Akwete, expressed dissatisfaction that the day had gone unnoticed. He urged African leaders to focus on economic and mental decolonization to help develop Africa.
I expected Ghana to celebrate this day with pomp and pageantry, but it did not happen because we know all sorts of subtle attempts have been made to obliterate the name of Nkrumah from the history books. It will not fly. Our presence here today shows that Nkrumah never dies. You can do anything to obliterate the name, but it will not be robbed. It will stay as it has stayed from the beginning. The African struggle is not ended. We have been engaged in all sorts of ways to liberate Africa. But the struggle is not over. African leaders need to concentrate on economic decolonization and mental decolonization to promote the African Forward March. We don't have time for destructive things now, things that distract us from the goal now. We are focused on liberating Africa totally. But the high mountain we have to climb is mental decolonization and economic decolonization, and we are committed to that. Kwame Nkrumah will be sad if at the end of the day he sees that Africa is still mentally colonized and economically colonized. We know that anybody who wants to bring the idea of Pan-African unity is removed from office. If you try it, you will be removed from office. But we are committed to it because Africa must be fully liberated financially, politically, economically, for us to feel indeed liberated.
Dr. Kwame Nkrumah remains a towering figure in African history. Tasha Michelle's report for Joy News.
And so what do you make of the CPP's request to have a befitting funeral for Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, 50 years after his death? Go onto our Facebook page and share your thoughts with us. You're watching Johnny's Prime with me, Ernest Manu. The NPP Greater Accra Regional Chairman is insisting constituency elections at Nkrumah will be conducted in spite of the absence of the MP for the area, Sarah Dwasafo. The party will in the coming days conduct constituency elections, but even before that happens, there's tension in the Nkrumah constituency as some aspirants are raising concerns about the electoral process. Now, according to them, the current voters register is not fit for purpose. They're accusing the Constituency Elections Committee of scheming against the NP and her supporters.
When we went to the album, when it was brought, we realized there were so many infractions. The names we brought that has to be fixed in the album were taken out. The old executives that were supposed to have maintained in the album were
What is affect your fortunes?
In fact, as we speak, the album we have currently does not fit for purpose. As I speak, I can show evidence here of balloon gate, Kwabena balloon gate. 10 executives who are old executives of Ajasafo's church, the leaders of the church, have all been taken out and replaced with new people. It's evident, it's here.
Those people perceived to vote for us have been taken away from the album. So, in fact, all blames must go to the committee. And if you have to blame somebody, it should be the chairman, the committee chairman. According to him, it was not deliberate, but we've been able to push and push and push. We trust leadership. We trust regional executive committee. We trust national executive committee, and know our party. We deal with the rule of law. In fact, most our concerns are always heard. That's the hope we have now. That our concerns will be heard. Yes, and finally, you know, Nkrumah is always in the news. It's not as if there are dissidents in Nkrumah. That's not a reason. In fact, our image is sometimes.
Meanwhile, aide to the Nkrumah MP, Dube Nana Kwapon, is expressing worry about the deliberate attempts by the party's hierarchy to frustrate Sarah Dwasafo and her supporters.
For us, all that we are asking for is for the right things to be done. We all have agreed that this is the way we are going to put together the album. What we are asking is for that to be respected and for the right things to be done. But it looks like there seems to be a certain agenda against the Honorable Member of Parliament.
From where?
It looks like it is a party thing, because it will interest you to know that since these issues started, we have made several calls. Call every person related to this issue in the party as far as the elections is concerned. Nobody is willing and ready to listen to us and what we have to say. It is as if their minds are made up that we want to get rid of Dwasafo.
Is your boss coming for the elections if it will be conducted?
The elections is, I don't know, but my colleague just informed me that they have been told that the elections is this weekend. Even as of yesterday or the day before, we didn't know when the elections was going to be conducted, only to be told this morning that the elections is going to be done on Sunday. Those going for the elections, the album was given to them just yesterday, sometime around 3 p.m. or so, if I'm not mistaken. So you ask yourself, that what is it that a party wants to achieve on the path they have chosen to trod as far as this election in Nkrumah is concerned?
The polling station aspirants have been agitating in the constituency and the regional offices of the party following what they described as fraudulent elections that were conducted in the constituency. They allege no polling station elections were conducted in the constituency, but rather fraudulent acclamations that were done at the blind side of the aspirant who had then bought forms to contest the elections. Following that, the aspirant petitioned the party's electoral mediation committee. At the news conference at Chifohiman, the polling station aspirant indicated they have heard where the committee's report had vindicated their position, and the news conference was to thank the committee and its chairperson, Madam Cecilia Abnadapa, for a good work done. They said they are only waiting for a confirmation from the National Executive Committee on a decision taken by the party's Electoral Mediation Committee. Spokesperson of the polling station aspirant, Christopher Ampofo, addressed the news conference.
It has been necessary that we organize this press conference as a matter of urgency. We have intercepted the report of the mediation committee led by Honorable Cecilia Abnadapa, through which recommended that all the 81 polling stations elections in the Tufu-Himalawa constituency, where elections were not held, have to be conducted. It was also recommended that the report that the polling station and electoral area coordinator selection committees be dissolved and some committee be reconstituted to see to the conduct of the future elections. Ladies and gentlemen, we the aspirants are very grateful and are satisfied with the work of the mediation committee. We are grateful to the Honorable Cecilia Abnadapa's led committee and pledge our support based on their report to cooperate in the organization of the future elections. Friends of the media, the regional party's view that conducting 81 polling stations in the Tufu-Himalawa constituency will create upheaval, and that only 9 polling stations and that of the 21 plaintiffs, total 6, is unfortunate.
Mr. Ampofo says they would be compelled to hit the streets if the National Executive Committee fails to validate the report of the committee, so fresh elections will be conducted.
We want peace in Himalawa, not war. And so the only thing that will bring peace and harmony in Himalawa is the conduction of the 81 police stations. There's going to be a big demonstration after the funeral of Odefo Bopensim. And so we are waiting upon the committee. By the next week, if we do not hear anything from them, we will hit on the road.
Reporting for Joy News, Richard Kejetia, Cape Coast.
You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Ernest Manu. We're taking a break. When we return, we'll bring you some more stories. Please stay with us. Hello again, thanks for staying with us. Now, some women in the Komenda Edina Iguafu Ebrem municipality of the Central Region are cautioning the National Democratic Congress not to bow to pressure to change Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman as a running mate for the NDC in 2024. According to the women, Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman hails from the constituency and has what it takes to help the flag bearer to secure victory for the NDC, and more importantly, help women in Ghana. The women have been speaking at a news conference at Elmina.
Benson, now some in there 2024. Yeah, papa, your mama or chance, name boom so you mamma in the bar. On your chance. Now, me put catch up Ben Efson that means some no.
Poster Ben Efson put out that in 2024, former President John Mahama has a chance, but if he chooses Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, he may not win. I want to say emphatically that all that he said were lies. This is because in 2016, the figures of the NDC were low, and our percentage was low as well. But if you look at the figures for the 2020 polls, when Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman partnered the NDC flag bearer, the vote of the NDC appreciated to more than 6 million. This means that the woman brought some magic to the NDC. So I entreat those who are plotting with Ben Efson to get the woman dropped to stop immediately. And we, the women in Ghana, condemn that. Women need to stand up to be counted in our politics, and we believe she could lead the way.
In terms of politics, yeah, that's it.
Nana Agyeman Opoku Ana Nana Agyeman Opoku says ye ba wa be ya tena sa ye hu da mama men aye to botuma tena no we
Professor Nanu Opoku-Agyeman has come at the appropriate time to help women. Women are overburdened, and we believe she would help us ease our burden. We strongly believe she could help us, and we need to fight for her.
Mesafo enya ne yakoya ba benyi no onyi bia intumi tete nti sisi na na agema ne ehu do ba ka mesafo atena ase nti obi a omi nyina ya yesonsom pam ne fanta na na agema nechi.
The Commander Edinegwa for Ebri Municipality Assembly is pushing for the Elmina Polyclinic to be made a hospital to enable the facility better attend to the emergency cases that is confronted with on a daily basis. KEA Municipal Chief Executive Solomon Ebo Apia believes the hospital situated along the Takoradi Cape Coast Highway should be hugely resourced to attend to accidents and other emergencies that occur on that stretch. Speaking at a donation of health equipment by the Edina Diaspora and Development Association based in the UK, the MCE called for support for the health facilities to enable it deliver quality health care. Richard Kojinyako has more.
The Elmina Polyclinic started as an urban center that caters for the Elmina town and other adjoining communities. Over the period, the facility has been the go-to place for all manner of cases in the district. The facility now handles all major cases of accident and other emergencies before they are transferred to the major referral facility, the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. Medical officials here at the health facility are convinced the positioning of the hospital warrants a status upgrade. Here is Dr. Felix Kweni Ndabi.
The facility has to upgrade, just like the MC was talking about. It's been here for over 40 years in the same position as a health center. By the grace of God, in the past 2-3 years, we've been able to upgrade it up to this level as a polyclinic. We don't want to end here. We have to get to a hospital status. One key aspect which we lack right now is a surgical theater. And that is a big dent, because with our position, with, the highway here, and with the kind of clients that we are getting, from the whole municipality, this is more like the exit point. So for all referral cases, they come here. We have medical officers here who are skilled to provide all these services. Unfortunately, we have to refer them, especially maternal cases at night. It's not pleasant, and there are some cases where some of them, unfortunately, have lost their lives because we could not provide the services here.
Receiving the donation of a VCG machine and refrigeration equipment for the blood bank from the Edina Diaspora and Development Association based in the UK, KEA Municipal Chief Executive Solomon Ebo-Apia advocated a change in the status of the facility from a polyclinic to a hospital, owing to the location of the facility, and called for more support for the facility.
Because when you look at this road, it is said that it is one of the dangerous roads in West Africa when it comes to road accidents. But if it's so, look at the position of the polyclinics. If we get a hospital settled with an emergency unit, those accident victims, before they get to intervention, probably we could save a lot of them. If there's a hospital have resources, like what we've seen now.
Representatives of the association based in the UK indicated they hope their contribution would go a long way to help equip the facility to improve healthcare delivery system in the area. Augustine Papasego spoke on behalf of the team.
And the whole idea is that there's a need for the health of our people to be improved. And as we seek to improve the services of this hospital with a view to one day becoming a teaching hospital as the aspiration, we felt it necessary to contribute something small to help at this moment to develop that vision. So on behalf of the association, we are here to present a ECG machine and a blood bank refrigerator.
Both machines, according to the association, cost 42,000 Ghana cedis. Reporting for Joy News, Richard Kejetia, Cape Coast.
Some 2 persons have been arrested by the Keta police for their involvement in the alleged diversion of premix fuel meant for the Keta fisher folks in the Volta region. A driver and a secretary of the Nkrumah London Beach Committee, Geoffrey James Oklu, were picked up Tuesday morning in the Keta municipality. The 2 are currently helping the police investigate the issue.
According to Augustine Oklu, a resident in Keta, he was informed that a Goodness Energy fuel tanker with registration number GT5422Z was spotted parked around the Nkrumah Premix fuel depot on Tuesday morning. He said the driver, however, drove off without discharging fuel, a development which rose suspicion of residents of a possible diversion.
And me monitor,
we detailed a vehicle to monitor the tanker.
Geoffrey James Oklu. You can never MC Keta for body some fear.
What is surprising is that the Nkrumah London Beach Committee Secretary, Geoffrey James Oklu, who is close to the MCE, had signed the way bill. The chief fisherman, who is sick and bedridden, had his portion also signed.
From there, I drive a monitor. We monitored
the tanker. It stopped at Afiedeniba Junction, moved and stopped at Avalevi, then to Abo. We therefore concluded that the fuel had been diverted, so we called in the police who arrested the driver. The driver then called suspect Geoffrey James Oklu, who upon arriving at the scene said the issue should be settled here, but I objected to his suggestion and indicated that we must find where the fuel was sent. Already, the seal on the tanker was broken. Geoffrey was subsequently arrested together with the driver and sent to the Keta police station, where the 2 were put behind bars. The Goodness Energy tanker is also parked at the premises of the Keta Divisional Police Command. The Keta Divisional Police Commander, Chief Superintendent Leonard Abaka, declined to comment on the case, indicating that he had just received the docket of the case, hence would need time to study it before speaking to the media. Residents are, however, demanding the National Premix Committees investigate the distribution of fuel to the Keta municipality within the last 3 months. They are of the conviction that the majority of the fuel meant for Keta municipality fisher folks might have been diverted for the parochial gains of a few.
In Keta, we fish before we eat. And what fuels our fishing is what? Premix. And what is making the premix not available is because of diversion. So I am daring all the people in Secretariat that we are inviting you to come down to Keta. Whoever is behind this atrocity against humanity should be brought on board. About 3 or 2 weeks ago, we heard with an evidence that a premix tanker came to Kejetia. It just came and turned around the point where it has to be, the fuel has to be discharged.
This is Johnny's Prime.